Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and today I'm very grateful, very humble to be joined by Robyn. Robyn interviewed me last week, or when this goes up, it'll be nearly a month ago, actually. She interviewed me on her show, Courage is the Cure. We'll put all the links to that in the bottom. You can go away and have a look at Robyn's content, Robyn's work, and her message. And she's over in WA in Perth. I always like when people interview me, I always like to interview them back and share their story because their story is just as awesome. And yeah, Robyn's started her channel. She does morning shows now, so that's very interesting. And I'm looking forward to how all this Courage is the Cure stuff started for her awakening journey, and whatever other tangents we can go on. So, Robyn, welcome to my show today. Very grateful to have you here. How you going?
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries.
It's great.
So you want to tell my audience about who you are and what you do and how all this started?
Yeah, so my channel is called Courage is the Cure. So yeah, I guess, what do we call it? BC, before COVID.
BC.
I just relocated back to Perth actually because I was living in Germany with my husband. My husband's German, and was raising my son over there in Germany, and then we decided to move back to Australia in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And pretty soon after that, the whole cold and flu situation began. And very quickly I found myself unemployed because I decided that I would not comply with a third phase trial drug experiment. And at that time, not only was I going down to the city nearly every day trying to find the freedom fighters and the different rallies and different protests and different meetings that they were having, I also began watching Cafe Locked Out. And it was when Cret and Wendy, the deplorables, along with Michael, were driving around Australia the first time. I heard Michael say that fear is the virus and courage is the cure. And that just stuck with me and just really resonated with me. And then in June of 2022, they started sending, by they, I mean the Health Department of Western Australia, started sending nurses, and I call them jab and stab vans out to primary schools in the hills where I live. I live maybe 60 kilometres east of Perth in the bush. And so when the health department started sending these jab and stab vans out to primary schools to jab and stab the children, I decided that that was quite enough. And so I gathered a whole load of pamphlets together from parents with questions, and my umbrella that I use with the umbrella people here in Western Australia. Took the pamphlets, the umbrella, out to the schools, stood on public property outside of the schools, handed the pamphlets out, talked to the parents, and decided to film it. And on my birthday last year, I uploaded my first video of my channel doing that, and that's how my channel started. Courage is the Cure. So yeah, that's how it all started, inspired by something that Michael from Cafe Locked Out said, and given a bit of a nudge by the West Australian Health Department. So thanks for that.
Obviously, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think anything happens without there's a lot of synchronicities in life, if you like, which magically kind of appear at special times in your life. So yeah, I think I'm not a young person, but I'm not an old person. I think kind of this time in my life is very sort of, it's horrible to say, it sounds weird, good timing, because I have some life experience behind me, and being able to speak to all the people that I speak to and interview all the people that I interview. To have a bit of experience behind me, I think is really helpful. It's all the world is a magical, wonderful place, isn't it, Nathan?
It is, and it can very well be too, if we, start awakening to different truths that's going on. Speaking of truths, so was it the COVID stuff that got you, or were you already on the path before COVID started with all the truths of the world and different things?
Well, I've always thought something's a bit dodgy. I remember when I was a teenager, probably about 13, 14 years old, one of my best friend's dad, he was in the army, and he used to tell us about things like, aluminium in deodorant is bad for you. Be careful about the deodorant you use. And the toothpaste, be careful about the toothpaste. It's not good for you. So from very early on in my teenage years, those things started coming into my life. But really, it wasn't until 2008 or 2009 I saw the movie Zeitgeist and on YouTube, and a lot of the things in that I don't necessarily agree with, but it did go into detail about how the monetary system works. And certainly you don't learn about that at school.
No.
About that. I think we talked about, they don't tell you how to start a business or show you anything like that, those sorts of things. They only show you how to write a resume. I think that's a brilliant point that you made on my show.
Thank you.
But yeah, once I saw that, I think it was 2009 because I was in Japan. And then I really started thinking about it much more deeply, and then started going down, all the different rabbit holes, as everybody puts it. So really, probably about 2009. So when people were dropping dead in China, I thought, right, here we go. It's on like Donkey Kong. The sneaky people that they are, trying to convince the world that we're all going to die.
Yeah, and some of us, and we're all still here.
That's right. I mean, I'm unvaccinated. I should be dead by now. Surely.
Yeah, same. I should be long gone.
Yeah.
We're still here. It was funny during that whole time, that whole kill grandma thing, you know what I mean? And then, wow, I was told that I was going to kill my nan, but my nan's still here too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Anyway, back onto onto your story. So when you started Courage is the Cure, was there any like fear or emotions coming up of you actually putting yourself out there? Was that something you'd already done? Like, how did all that come about for you? Because I know when I started my podcast, which I chatted about to you, I had some interesting emotions come up before I started it. Did anything like that come up for you before you started really putting yourself out there?
Just hang on a sec. I'll tell my son to turn it down.
Yeah.
You can edit this, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You have to keep it silent, sweetie, because I'm doing an interview.
Quick one.
Yeah, did I have any emotions come up when I did that? I think because, when I had to make that decision that I wasn't going to comply and I wasn't going to be a guinea pig, and realised that everything I'd worked for from a young person to be where I was in my career, once I realised that was gone, because having attachment to that, you wouldn't be able to make that decision to not comply. So once I'd done that and let that go, which was really difficult, I actually still suffer a little trauma from that, to be honest. But once I'd made that decision, as hard as it was equally as freeing and liberating. And so I think when I decided to get my camera out and not only record, but put my face on camera. Because, it's one thing to just film what's going on, and it's quite another to put your face on the camera and talk. And try to be authentic as well, not just, have some sort of pre-written script or something like that. I didn't really find it that difficult, I think, because the huge thing for me was letting go of something that meant so much to me. Once I'd done that, it was actually liberating. So I've not struggled putting my face on camera, which is kind of weird because I know a lot of people really struggle with that and don't want to put their face on camera. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, privacy and all sorts of things, but I'm just kind of an open book. Sometimes I wonder if that's a bad thing, whether people know too much about me now, but then I think, well, there's no point really for me if I'm only half a person, what it kind of doesn't make sense to me to be like that. So but the hardest thing was the attachment to kind of part of my personality and part of me that I'd created around my job. And once I'd let that go, it was very liberating. So
I can resonate with all of that, actually.
And
it's interesting because when you let go of something like that, you bring in something pretty cool, and what you have been able to do has been pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I have to thank Michael from Cafe Lockdown. A huge shout out to him, because when I met him, when did I meet him? Was it last year? It's all one big twilight zone. Anyway. So I think it must have been about 8 or 9 months ago, whenever that was. And I interviewed him just a very short interview while he was here. And after I'd done that, he said, why don't you start posting your videos to Cafe Lockdown? So I started doing that, and then that sort of carried on to having a regular show on Courage's Cafe Lockdown, which is called Relentless, every Thursday night, and then became a regular guest on the No Goat Show. Now having morning shows 3 days a week. So big shout out to Michael. He's really been a mentor to me, actually, through all of this. He's an amazing man.
That's good. I remember I remember Cafe Lockdown came into my old hometown, and I remember I jumped on there and had a chat to them as well. And they were doing that Australia-wide thing. That was probably 2 years ago now. That's probably my only interaction with Cafe Lockdown, I reckon.
It's quite remarkable. Michael, for anybody who doesn't know what Cafe Lockdown is, Michael has been travelling around Australia for the past somewhere between 2 and 3 years, travelled with different people on different trips in different vehicles. Currently, he's travelling with Kelly in Florence, the Freedom Bus. So, they've got everything they need on the bus, including Starlink. So he can be, in the middle of the Nullarbor and still be able to do his shows. It's quite remarkable. But he's a defender of free speech, and that's the same with my channels. I'm a defender of free speech. I don't approve of censorship. I don't censor anybody, and neither does Michael. And he's recording history while they're trying to erase it, and he's giving a opportunity for people to speak about things that certainly you won't see on mainstream media, that's for sure. And that's also what I do as well. I don't travel like he does, but I speak to a lot of people around my community in Western Australia and also online, like they're doing now. So yeah, free speech is very, very important. And I think the work that Michael does is very significant and will become more significant as we move into the future, and they try to memory hole everything, and we live in this sort of upside down kind of dystopian universe, so.
Yeah, and they're going to offer us a utopia soon too. They're going to offer us a fake love and light. So we're looking forward to that, aren't we?
Yeah. I tell you what, they're certainly trying to pull the wool over people's eyes at the moment, that's for sure. And in particular, they're trying to silence people. So yeah, more than ever, we need to be speaking to people and speaking our truth.
Just planting seeds too, because it can be quite a lot for people, some of this stuff, especially if you go deep into the real deep truths like the child trafficking and stuff. It can be quite a lot for someone to. I know for me, it was quite a lot to find all that out.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I remember I can't remember who I was talking to at the time, but when The Sound of Freedom was released in America, the mainstream media were reporting on it, and the language that they were using describing this movie, talking about it being, what were they saying? It's a movie for dads with brain bugs or something like that. This kind of sort of inflammatory language, to make it some sort of conspiracy movie. And even when they released it in Australia, I looked at Ace Cinema here in WA just to look at what other movies were playing at the same time and that sort of thing. And there was 3 other movies that were based on true stories, and they made it very clear in the description, based on a true story, and then they have the description of the movie. But I noted for Sound of Freedom, they didn't put that. They didn't put based on a true story or inspired by a true story. There was none of that. So that anybody that didn't know about the movie would just think, oh, it's a made-up story.
Yeah.
But it's not, and that's the truth, is that these awful, horrible things are happening to our children, and there's a lot of powerful people that could do something about it. They just choose not to. So that's one of the reasons why that movie's very significant and very important. It's kind of one of those polarizing movies, though. Some people don't like that movie because they think, well, what's the point of producing something like that if you're not going to change it, But again, like you just said, planting those seeds and creating awareness, I think is one of those things, a couple of things that movie does. So, yeah, exposing the awfulness of what's going on.
Yeah, and also empowering people as well, that, this stuff can be empowering, especially when you learn your own and you come out the other side and you can be something great. It's very empowering. It's a very dark, I find that the universe and the world's the same. It's very dark within, it's very dark with externally. It's like, it's all about perception, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been a real test for humanity, particularly over the past three years, because we've been surrounded by so much darkness. And if people are watching TV, your perception of reality is most certainly fear-based, which can do awful things to a person, let alone humanity as a collective, this collective psyche, if you like. So yeah, it's our perception is really important. So I haven't watched TV for many years, but the people that are around you, what you're watching, what you're listening to, all those sorts of things really matter. And even even if you are more aware of the things going on around you than, people who consume mainstream media 24/7 and don't know any different, even if you are aware that people are being manipulated, you still have to really be kind to yourself to kind of not accept the fear-based reality that's around us, because sometimes it can get too much and it can affect you, so you've really got to be kind to yourself and work out how you can protect yourself from that, because it really can affect you even if you're aware of it, so yeah,
because it affects that part of the mind that puts you in that state. And even if you are aware, like, you're still picking up on those energies and those feelings.
Yep.
It's interesting, isn't it? How do you sort of go about that? I know you've turned your back on TV, but as you just said, but how do you go about, like, protecting yourself from, like, it's still around us. So how do you go about protecting yourself from all the fear and different things?
I guess learning about how we're being manipulated, the tools that they use on us, what, the different systems that they've weaponized against us. Now I can easily identify them. And so I can just immediately switch off and go, yeah, okay, there's another one. All right, yep. But what I really struggle with is energetically defending myself. Because a couple of times, and let's all put our tinfoil hats on right now to come along with this story. A couple of times I've been out at rallies, and the next day I've woken up and I feel just awful. I've had to go back to bed because I feel like I've been spiritually attacked. It's really hard to describe, but it's a really awful feeling that I really struggle with. So really, because I'm a Bible believing Baptist, so I've spoken to a few people, and now when I go out to these events and I know that there's going to be people or other potential weapons that they might use against us out there, I really use God. That's terrible, because I pray all the time. So I make special prayers before I go out to, please have God's hand upon me and so on and so forth. And that has really helped me, is making sure I'm keeping myself connected with God, because it's terrible to wake up the next day after an event and realize that something's happened. It's a really, really strange feeling, but I pray to God and keep my trust in him strong, and he protects me. So yeah, that's the tinfoil hat story there, Nathan.
A bit of tinfoil hat. I just use the earth. I connect to the earth and use the earth to protect me.
Yeah.
Ocean, sand, nature.
Right. Is that because I'm hearing a lot at the moment about grounding? Is that?
Yeah, so kick you. Yeah, well, there's a reason why. There's a reason why they have people wearing shoes. They don't want people connecting to the earth anymore. Like, we used to walk around barefoot all the time. Like, that's our connection to the earth. That's why the sole of the shoe is called a sole of the shoe.
Oh, wow.
What's the gateway to your soul? It's through the feet, because you're connecting to the earth. So if they put shoes on people, no one's grounded. This is why all the kids are all just out of control at the moment due to the food and the everything else. But it's also they're not grounded. And the most, from what I'm finding, the kids are the most grounded in the ocean or in nature and that aren't wearing their shoes much. They're the most placid, calm kids you'll meet. especially the kids that are getting homeschooled, raised on a farm, raised in different, out of the system. Well, these kids are fantastic for what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny talking about shoes because the past week there's a patch of lawn in my village that looks very nice, and I keep wanting to take my shoes off to walk across it, but then I think, oh no, what if there's glass there?
No, that's fear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Nah, grounding's really good. I've had different people on my podcast talk about it, and yeah, it's I try not to wear shoes as much as possible.
Yeah, interesting. I might try that today.
Yeah, because because they want people in the cities, obviously, and if you're living in a city in an apartment, like you're not really grounded for however long. Like that's a long time to not be connected to the earth for.
Yeah,
You're not connected to the earth, then you're becoming that system, basically.
yeah.
I don't want to get too tinfoil hat, but you're becoming the prototype cog in the system.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like our connection is to the earth, has been since we've been here.
Yeah, that's right.
So, they want us having the artificial supplements and medical experiments because that's made by man. That's man-made. We want what's made naturally. So, like, they always that's why they poison the food and done all these things because they want you having the artificial food. It's the same with the technology. We have our own Wi-Fi. We have our own internal system. This thing here can't exist without us because we have our own cell phone network tower. It's called our crown chakra. It connects to the higher self, universe, spirit, whoever. And we can have communication with people. We can communicate with each other without the need for this.
Yeah.
But they brought this in as a mirror to the natural world. Like eventually they want to take this down the AI path, artificial intelligence. That's when people make their choice. You either walk the path of nature or you walk the path of tech. Well, I choose Mother Earth and nature before I choose tech.
Funny you say that they create that to mimic us because I've mentioned Kelly before. She's driving around Australia with Michael at the moment. It's quite extraordinary. I don't remember in my life meeting someone like Kelly where we don't have to message each other or call each other. We talk to each other without that. It's the strangest thing. As I said, I don't think I've ever met anybody or had anybody in my life like that before. So it's interesting you say that about the cell phone, that they've created that to mimic us and how we communicate with people.
Well, it's interesting because I don't need my phone to tell the time. My body will tell me what the time is.
Yeah.
And I'm usually a minute or two off. Like my brother will be down the beach or somewhere and I'll go, it's about 2:30. Check the phone or check the watch, 2:28 or 2:31 or 2. That's like, I don't need this thing to tell me the time. Our bodies do it for us. And when you're like healthy, strong, you're not sedating yourself, you've worked on your emotions and stuff, your body can do some cool shit and it can tell you things that it needs. It's like intuition, intuitive eating, intuitive stuff. Like I don't need a phone or a watch to tell me the time. I'll just be like, got a feeling it's 3:30. Then it's probably about 3:33 or something. Like, it's
I think that's part of the problem with big pharma, as well, because people know instinctively, even if they can't point to it or identify a particular problem, they know when something's wrong with their body. Just like mums know when something's wrong with their baby, this sort of thing. And this gaslighting by our medical professionals, it's become, it's another part of being human that is being manipulated now, is to not trust
yourself.
That's right, and it's so important for people to stay connected with themselves. And of course, they don't want that. They want us to on the government, big pharma, big tech, all these sorts of things.
But what's that like? What's that all for? Like, if we were all listening to our bodies, taking care of ourselves, naturally healing, there's no money in that.
That's right. Yeah. I think briefly touched on it before with natural medicine. The Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA here in Australia, because I keep an eye on their Facebook page on this thing, because it's entertaining, to say the least. They often talk about the natural health products and the people that they've given fines to because they're making false claims about natural products and all this sort of thing. And they're bashing people who want to take vitamin C, vitamin D, and and maybe drink some herbal tea, and they fine people because they're making claims about these natural products. It never ends, this attack on us as humans. We really need to stay connected with ourselves, because we're trying really hard to disconnect ourselves from ourselves, and also from our fellow human as well,
because they eventually want you in a city where it's 10 minutes and you just don't have a car, you just walk, and you're in your own little zone, your own little box, and that's what you do. You're just a prototype.
Yeah.
We came here for more than that, though.
100%. Yeah.
And they've made it, like, they've made things like money and different things, people attached to it, jobs and different things. It's like, we didn't come here to work in a 9-to-5 system.
That's right.
We came here with hopes and dreams. And as I said in your interview, they were shunted inside their military-style base school system.
That's right.
And then those of us who have broken free, like you and I and many, many others, we've had to go back to our time in that system and unlearn everything that we learned.
It's very true. Yeah, I can't remember which episode, because before I interviewed you, I binge watched a whole bunch of your interviews. I can't remember which one it was, but you were talking about now I've just lost my train of thought. Terrible.
Talk about school.
That's gone.
That's all right.
I'm getting old, Nathan.
Don't say that. You're still young. You're only as old as you feel.
Terrible. Oh, absolutely.
No, I was talking about the school system, so that if that rejigs your memory, but yeah, I've been very outspoken about that.
Yeah. Oh, relearning stuff. That's right.
Yeah.
So you did bring me back. Sorry. That's really true, because I think it was, well, all of my life up until probably the end of my 20s or early 30s, I started to figure out why I had this feeling like, well, not a feeling, why my self-talk was so negative. And in particular, what I would say to myself a lot was that whatever I did wasn't good enough. It just was never enough. It wasn't, whether I was writing something, I hadn't written it well enough, or if I did, a piece of artwork, because I like to paint, that wasn't good enough, whatever it is, or a relationship with someone, a friendship with someone, I wasn't a good enough person to be their friend. No wonder they don't really like me. This sort of negative self-talk. So yeah, it wasn't until the end of my 20s and early 30s that I figured out that had come from a couple of experiences I had in primary school with teachers in particular, and I could also join dots with another significant adults that had also made me feel like that as a child. But it took me a really long time to figure that out, and once I figured it out, you can start to love yourself more and be kind to yourself again once you figure these things out, but it's 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 really quite astounding that something or one experience or two experiences when you're younger, or maybe it's 1 year with a particular teacher, that can have such a profound effect on molding you as you grow into an adult, and can restrict you and what you do as an adult. We all have dreams and hopes, wishes, and things that we're naturally drawn to do. And, yeah, it's quite astounding that those experiences can affect you so much. So
They really do.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful when you go back and break free from it. Then you find that self-belief again.
Yeah. That's why what you do is really important, because it's invaluable information about yourself, these tools that, you talk about.
And when I work with clients, I'm always taking them back to moments into the school system.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether they were bullied or whether there was a teacher saying they couldn't do something or whether it was, it's like every single thing is like circled back. It's either the home environment or the school system.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Always.
Yep. Yeah, it's
And when I found that self-confidence in that, I already had the self-confidence, it was ego-based self-confidence. But when I found that belief in myself that I can do anything, and then helping someone else find that too or rediscover that, it's super powerful. Because when I found that for myself, as I said in your interview, like I went away and wrote my book in 6 weeks.
Yep.
It's like that validation of that child, powerful stuff. Because it's like it was one person's perception of who or what I could be. And when I realized with that child that there's 6 billion people here, that's a lot of people. You got a 1 in 6 billion chance of resonating with someone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw I think it was a reel, and it was I'm not quite sure what it was for, but anyway, it was showing a group of men. They're probably in their 30s, I would say, and they were on some sort of, I guess they were on a camp together anyway, but it was showing that, they were doing some sort of exercise in the forest, and they're acknowledging or maybe an object or a tree, I don't know, they didn't show, but anyway, these men were shouting and all these things that are for a significant mark and change their life in a negative way. They were releasing it, and doing all these sorts of things, and it was heartbreaking to watch, and it makes you think, is everybody broken because we have these experiences as children? And if we can learn about that and have the opportunity to heal ourselves, how wonderful that would be for humanity, So to watch these men, because they were suffering while they were getting all this out, but what an uplifting, wonderful thing as well,
If there's someone watching this, Robyn, and they're just starting to, I guess, realize what's going on down here on planet Earth, planet mental asylum, what would you say to that? What would you say to that person that's starting to unpack not only their own, but external truths? Like for someone that's better take that first step that's listening right now, they're like, oh, I'll resonate with Robyn. What'd be your advice to those people that can take their first step into deep diving into what's really going on here?
That's a good question.
I
would say protect yourself. And by that I mean be very discerning about, do you think you need to know all at once? Because that can be very troubling. You know, we were talking about perception before, and when you do start that journey to awaken, traumatic, and different people to that differently, and the experience is different for every person, but your perception of reality is challenged, and then if you keep going, it's destroyed and you're creating a new one. And that can be really difficult. So I would say protect yourself, be discerning about how much you research in the beginning, because if you go like a bull in a china shop,
That was me.
It can really hurt you as well. You know, as great as it is, and it's an exciting time actually, it can be really traumatic. I know a lot of people, not a lot, I know a few people that when the cold and flu situation happened, and that was their you know, ignition to start their awakened journey, you know, they got 8-9 months into it and it became too much for them. They couldn't cope with it all, and they actually retracted back into their old life. They had to shut it down because it was too much for them. And it's really sad, but it's, you know, like a protective mechanism that people do, you know, because they just can't deal with it all. You know, maybe they're not ready or whatever it is. So yeah, that's what I would say is, but just protect yourself, be discerning about how much information you're exposing yourself to, and yeah, be prepared to love yourself like you've never loved yourself before, because you're your best friend, and you can really help yourself to not be traumatized by seeing things differently and changing your perception of reality. So yeah, be kind to yourself, everybody.
That was a good piece of advice. I know for me, I was like a bull at a gate. I just went straight into it. And then my own truths are bubbling, so I was a bull at a gate with them too. But yeah, really good advice. You can actually take your time and process everything.
Yeah, I think it's important too. And just like, you know, we were talking about before with life's synchronicities, you know, if you're meant to learn a particular lesson at a particular time, you know, you will just let it come to you and let it happen, because you know, trying to force those things and rush it all, you know, like I said, it can be really traumatic for you as a soul. You know, you have to let the world reveal itself to you, I guess, without pushing it.
One of my biggest lessons.
No,
literally, what you just said there, I know exactly where it's come from. It's one of my biggest lessons I've had to learn. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So it's every time I do a podcast with someone, Robyn, I interview someone, they always say something that hits home. So thank you for continuing the 63 episodes now. Everyone, there's been something, and thank you for continuing the streak.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Everyone I interview, they always say something that like just hits me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of need, I mean, not how do I say this? So be kind to yourself, but also yeah, finding or maintaining that connection with somebody as well is really important too. So I just wanted to add that in there. If there's someone in your life that's understands you and is kind of on the same path, make sure you stay connected with them, because when you start that journey, I think everybody can agree that most people aren't going along with you on that journey, and you will lose a lot of people. But if there's someone that's kind of on the same path or whatever, make sure you stay connected with them, because you need to.
Or if you're learning the truths of the world right now, learning the truths within, reach out to us and we'll become your tribe. I'm happy to have more people in mine.
100%.
Yeah.
Great
if you're
point.
struggling to have a connection, find a connection with someone, my emails and messages are always open, and I'm sure yours are too.
Yep, that's right. 100%. Yep. Because it's not always all about us.
No.
We need other people. We actually do need other people. Yeah.
No, very grateful to have connected with you through the awesome people of the Light Australia, Amy and Jerry. And yeah, I just would love to get you back on again one day. And we could definitely do this again. It's been an awesome couple of weeks getting to know you, Robyn. It's been awesome. So I definitely want to stay in touch with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for having us on.
Is there anything you want to finish with? Any message or anything? Oh, actually, yeah, we'll go with that one, and then where people can find you as well.
Oh, okay.
Just give yourself a plug.
I just say fear is the virus and courage is the cure. With a little bit of courage, you'd be amazed where that will take you. And courage is courageous. It will spread to other people as well, which is just amazing. I've seen it happen. So yeah, it's I always have it in my mind. Courage is the cure.
Yep.
And so yeah, people can find me on Rumble. That's where I have all my interviews, such as I did with Nathan. People can find me on YouTube. That's where I have short videos where I try to inject a bit of humor into making
you don't mind that.
Point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and that's about it. So yeah.
Yep. All the links will be in the bottom. Yeah, come have a chat, come have a listen to Robyn's stuff, listen to my interview with her. We'll put that in the bottom as well. And everything that you need to connect with Robyn will be down the bottom, and go and watch her stuff. It's really good. She's doing good things, got the morning show going now. So she's becoming, well, we are, I guess, becoming the new media, I guess.
Yeah, 100% independent media. Yep. These prostitutes who work for MSM can't do their job properly.
So we're doing it for them.
Exactly. That's right, Nathan.
Well, thank you for jumping on today, Robyn. That was awesome. Thank you for jumping on. This has been the Breaking Free podcast. Please like and subscribe and share and get the message out there. And there's one piece of advice I'll leave for this chat. It is always trust yourself and trust your own intuition. And if you follow your heart and follow your heart, you'll be taken to some pretty cool places. So, and always reach out and ask for help, because it changed my life and it will change many others as well. So always reach out and ask for help. Thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. We'll get Robyn back on again soon. We'll stay connected, and I'll see you guys soon with some more guests in the next couple of weeks. So look after yourselves. See yous.